Right, gents, let's focus on match week 28 now. Let's preview what is another big weekend. So many big games coming up. This is the business end of the season now, and it really starts to feel like it, right? It's springtime over here in England. The sun's out, well, as much as it can be. Daffodils are there, birds are chirping, and managers are quaking in their boots, whether it comes to the top four push or the relegation scrap. And Andy, I want to start with you. Arsenal against Tottenham. North London derby this weekend. Both teams are in Europa League action, so that's something to keep an eye on when it comes to what their priority is now, heading into the final months of the season. But is this just a top six battle now, or do you feel like Spurs can finish in the top four given their recent success?
I'm saying nothing that can come back and bite me after the weekend or at any point between now and the end of the season. I will just remark on the fact of how strange and heartwarming it is to see two eras of Tottenham about 10 years apart, superstar eras kind of melt together, and Gareth Bale and Harry Kane setting up Gareth Bale, Harry Kane setting up Gareth Bale, Kane and Bale is the new Kane and Son. It's really, really strange to see Gareth Bale celebrate with Harry Kane after the latter sets up the former for a goal, because it's almost a decade removed from their peaks at Tottenham, and it's happening right now. 6 goals, 3 assists in Bale's last 6 appearances in Tottenham's last 6 games. He's played in 6 games in a row, which I think is probably the most important stat that can exist with him right now. He's not played more than 70 minutes in any of those games, which I think is probably the right approach for him at this point. He's got great history in North London derbies. Harry Kane has excellent history in North London derbies. I don't know.
Nick, are you as happy as Andy is about seeing Gareth Bale back in form and back fit? Because that seems to be the main storyline, right, around Tottenham. And I got a feeling that he's just going to lead them to glory late in the season, be it League Cup. Look at Andy Winston. League Cup, Europa League, or finishing in the top 4, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do. I think that we're seeing a burst of form that almost feels 3 years overdue. This is a player with so much power, and he's a smart guy too. I think maybe sometimes that gets lost because of the power, because of watching him run sometimes it's Nature Channel, though. Like, it's such a perfect human sprinting. So I see that. I will say this: there's a little bit of me, and I know it was more of a cameo in this latter reference. When Andy mentions Kane and Bale, I think of Van Persie and Thierry Henry on the same team when he came back on loan to Arsenal, and it was like, what's going on here? It's just vibes, right? So I don't know. I think this game has a chance to be an all-timer, and I'm circling it in a way that I would almost guarantee we're not watching a 1-0 or a 0-0. Tottenham's defense, Arsenal's defense, Aubameyang looking better, Saka maybe having some freedom on the wings. I'm ready for this one.
There will be goals, and now that we've guaranteed there will be goals, it will be a boring 0-0. Exactly.
It's Mourinho and Arteta. Well, I mean, come on.
Wow. 2 of the brightest young managers in the game, said Jose Mourinho. No, I think both teams are better when they're attacking, right? I mean, defensively, we've seen howlers. We saw it last week at Burnley for Arsenal with Xhaka and that terrible giveaway. When they're trying to mess around at the back and play around, then they're not at their best. They're both a few pieces, especially defensively, away from where they want to be. I mean, Arsenal and Tottenham are surely going to be going for a lot of the same defensive players in the transfer market this summer. But going forward, Saka, Aubameyang, Pepe's got his act together for Arsenal, and then Spurs, Kane, Son, Bale, Dele Alli, Ndombele, Lucas Moura, Lamela. I'd probably fancy Spurs to edge it, but there will be goals. And again, we've guaranteed there will be goals. So enjoy the North London derby this weekend. Andy, one quick word from you.
I will just say Spurs have beaten absolutely no one during this run. Burnley, Fulham, and Crystal Palace, 9-1 combined. None of it means anything. So if it completely turns this weekend, it was just a mirage.
There you go. Reverse psychology from Andy Edwards, a lifelong Tottenham fan. Manchester United, West Ham United is another big game coming up this weekend. Nick Mendola, top 4 hopefuls, I think we can say. United look like they're going to seal it. West Ham David Moyes said they're not playing well, and they still beat Leeds United 2-0. They were disappointed with the display. Declan Rice wasn't happy. I kind of fancy the Hammers in this one because this is their kind of game, right? United, they can sit back, soak up the pressure, and then, kind of use those set-piece situations they've been so good at to expose some of the weaknesses in Manchester United, right?
Yeah, and if there is desperation, you would peg it to be more on West Ham right now. Also, they will not have done anything this week besides prepare for Manchester United. They'll get to hang out on Thursday and see what Ole does, and I'm not even sure what he does, because the one comment you pointed out to me after the Manchester derby was him kind of saying, well, we can't just prioritize, it by competition right now or focus on the cups. And to me, going to AC Milan, Manchester United at a resurgent AC Milan, I don't care what competition that is. It matters, and I would be circling it. And I don't think anybody's sure if he is right now. And as much as we look at Arsenal, they're going to be coming back from Greece, and Tottenham's going to be played at home against Zagreb. West Ham's doing nothing. And United, even if they only use half their guys, are going into, a hornet's nest. So I think this is a perfect trap game. And if they win, then we really ought to talk even more about Manchester United.
Andy, West Ham, it feels like kind of a trick that David Moyes is trying to play to keep him motivated. It's like, we can play even better. We can get to higher levels. We've won again, but it's not good enough. Can they finish in the top 4? We spoke about it a few weeks ago. We're getting close to the end of the season now, and they're still right up there.
I'm much more a believer now than I was then. And it's been the recent results, but more so the performances. And I agree they weren't great against Leeds on Monday. They got the win though. They got the clean sheet. And once they got into a lead, they were in complete control. They were never really in danger of giving away anything in that game. And I think that's a big sign of progression for this team, because I think we could see, if you look earlier in the season at some of their, some of the ways that they dropped points early in the season, you couldn't have said that. And I'm just looking at the teams that have beaten them this season. Their last 4 losses: Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Manchester United, and Liverpool. So 5, excuse me. They have lost to no one but big teams since the opening 2 days of the season, when they lost to Newcastle and Arsenal. They have a lot of really impressive results this season. They are where they are on merit this season. They have earned the right to battle for this top 4 spot. And I'm with Nick. This sets up, I think, perfectly, absolutely perfectly for West Ham to beat Manchester United this weekend. And that's a scary thing to say out loud, because it can very quickly go the other direction if Manchester United decide to be Manchester United. But I'm believing in this West Ham team. They've got the talent. They're Newcastle a couple years advanced into the future, right, Nick? Like, they've always had that talent. Now they've got a manager that fits the situation that they're in.
Very strong Everton vibes 10 years ago from David Moyes with this West Ham team. They're not the greatest to watch. He's getting every ounce out of them. They're really good as a unit, and they just have players keep stepping up at different times, be it Antonio, Jesse Lingard. Obviously, he can't play this weekend because of his loan move, but and Souček and Declan Rice and Fornals. They just got those key contributors who keep stepping up when they need them each week. So, yeah, Man United, this identity we've spoken about earlier, let's see if it comes to the fore, because they're going to have a lot of the ball. I think West Ham are going to sit back and say, come on to us. Let's see how good you are, and it will hit you on the break. So that's going to be a really good game, and will be really big in determining how the end of the season goes for both of those teams, as they both try and seal Champions League qualification. And I can't quite believe I'm saying that. Wolves against Liverpool. Nick, this is probably better for Liverpool to be playing away from Anfield right now, given their incredible run of 6 home league defeats in a row, which, again, can't believe I'm saying that after their near 4-year run of not losing at Anfield in the league. But Wolves, Liverpool, we got a favourite here. This seems like a very evenly matched game, given Wolves' recent resurgence.
I think I'd be tempted to say Wolves if the game wasn't on Monday. For everything that Jurgen Klopp has hated about their fixture list, for them to play tomorrow at home to Leipzig and get plenty of time off. I've been burnt by this before. I predicted them to beat Fulham. I thought they would hang with Chelsea. You know, I'm not exactly brave to say they would beat Sheffield United. I want to say Wolves are going to do some things here. You know, maybe Traore puts himself further in the shop window, but I haven't been too impressed by Wolves in a while. I'm really interested to see what happens with them next year. And that tells you a lot about how they're doing this year.
Andy, final word on Liverpool. Can they recover from these heavy defeats at home? Not even heavy, but shocking. That's a better word for it. I mean, it's been a collapse. Let's call it what it is. One of us did predict they wouldn't finish in the top four. I'm not going to say who, but are they going to finish in the top four and recover?
No. And I think I was the last off the boat on that one. I was insistent on it, but they're broken. How can you look at this team and not just say that the mind of every player in that team that was on that title winning team that ran away with it last season, and this is happening to them now, that they're not just broken mentally? And I think so much of it is the three defenders that they're without. You take away those defenders, their defense sets up their attack because they have defenders that can defend the entire field. It lets them attack with 7 and 8 players. And once you can't do that anymore, you have to completely build a new attack. And that's hard to do in the middle of the season when you have to then also rebuild an entire defense with backups and new January. There's a lot going on at Liverpool. And I think I've been probably the harshest on Jurgen Klopp this season with, some of his comments and calling him a bully and stuff, but I feel for him. It's a tough season that he's had to navigate. And I can't think of any manager who wouldn't find himself in this situation with Liverpool, or in the spot where they are given this situation.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot going on in Liverpool. I feel like we could have a whole episode just on them, a whole 2-hour long special. We probably will do that at some point, considering the dramatic nature of their collapse. But their trip at Wolves to Wolves this weekend is going to be really interesting to see how they respond to those string of disappointing defeats, especially at home. So other games to keep an eye on in the Premier League in Matchweek 28, Southampton against Brighton, South Coast derby. Big game for both of those teams. Saints, can they finally push further away into mid-table? Brighton, can they finally get a bit of luck and grab a win to really ease their own relegation fears? And then the two form teams in the Premier League, Fulham against Manchester City. That should be a good one because, Scott Parker's side will fancy their chances considering how they've come up against some of the bigger teams in the Premier League in recent weeks and give them a run for their money. So lots of big games across the Premier League. We'll keep you updated with all of that on Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com with team news, stream links, previews, everything you need. These three lads on the screen right here will have you covered. And gents, all that's left for me to say is, as always, an absolute pleasure. Andy Edwards in Kansas City, Nick in Buffalo, New York, and myself over here in England. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for everyone for watching, and enjoy the Premier League games this weekend. Cheers.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe. Make sure you subscribe to watch highlights all season long and join us at the weekend at 7 a.m. Eastern on NBCSN for Premier League mornings, and sign up for Peacock Premium, where you'll have access to 175 exclusive live games all season long.